Welcome to another episode of Riding and Wrenching, the biggest little YouTube channel on the entire interwebs. I am your host, Q the Rider, and in today's episode, I've got a couple of special guests. I have Robert Simmons from YouTube channel, Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle, and Finesse from YouTube channel, Finesse the Challenger. And in this video, we are going to discuss the 2023 Harley Davidson Road Glide CVO and compare and contrast it to the Indian Pursuit Elite. So I traveled down to Savannah, Georgia, and we met in Robert Simmons' garage, and we actually recorded about 3 hours of video. So this is going to be one of a three-part series. It's a long video, but it's a very funny discussion, and we had a great time just sitting around talking about these two phenomenal motorcycles. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave us some comments in the comment section, and be sure to visit Robert's channel as well as Finesse's channel. Let's get into the video.
Peoples, what's going on? I am Finesse. We got Robert Simmons right here. We got Q the Rider right here. We got Gladiator over here. And
Anna Lee, the 2023 Harley Davidson Road Glide, the best motorcycle made by Harley Davidson, which happens to be the best motorcycle brand in the United States. But let's go.
All right, cut.
yeah, we definitely gonna delete that.
Well, no, I'm saying cut because he's new to the CVO world and he failed to identify this as a CVO. That's all. How dare you?
So maybe I'll leave it.
I
Just
stand
talk crap.
corrected.
That is a CVO road.
But I'm here in the garage of Robert Simmons, and here with Robert and Finesse the Challenger, and we're going to talk about these two wonderful motorcycles here, talk about some of the pros and cons of the new Pursuit Limited. Did I say that right?
Negative.
What
That
is it?
The Pursuit Elite.
The Pursuit Limited compared to the 23 Harley CVO.
All right, so just before we get started, the CVO is closer to the Challenger Elite than it is to the Pursuit Elite. So when I talk about the Elite, I'll be talking about the Challenger version, even though we do have the Pursuit here in the background.
What's the difference between a Challenger and a Pursuit, for those of us who don't know?
The Challenger does not have the Tourpack. Does
Oh,
not
okay,
have
okay,
the lowers,
gotcha,
the fog
gotcha.
light. Well, it does have the fog lights, but it doesn't have the lowers. And that's essentially really it, and the price.
Okay. Gotcha.
A Challenger is a Road Glide. A Pursuit is a Limited.
Got it.
I got to speak Harley Davidson.
There we go.
Now, have you had an opportunity to ride both bikes yet?
I have.
Okay.
So I ride a 23 Indian Pursuit Dark Horse. And I've ridden Robert Simmons' 23 CVO Road Glide. Man, we hurting over here.
See the respect behind that? You have to make sure he didn't mess that up. Just make sure you say you rode it around your subdivision.
I rode it around the subdivision. I rode it around here. We went around that back road there when we were doing some video.
Oh, yeah.
So I do have some impressions. So, however, my impressions of the bike are kind of limited because, his bike's not broken. It's not my bike. So I wasn't like getting on it or doing anything crazy with it. It was just a ride to, just see how it feels.
Gotcha.
So that's going to be my perspective for the CVO. However, for the Pursuit, I have had extensive field testing with this bike, both in riding and breaking it down and bringing it back up. So, I have a pretty good knowledge. Plus, before that, I had a Challenger as well.
Gotcha.
So it already sounds like it's going to be a little lopsided.
Oh,
a lot lopsided. So we have to put that disclaimer in that what you have to say is not going to mean much as it pertains to Harley Davidson.
No, so it's going to be a biased review between the two of us. There's no way around it.
Mine's not going to be biased.
Yours not going to be biased.
So you're
I'm the only one here that owns both. So it's not going to be biased at all.
well, you're the only one here that would own both.
Yeah, right now, yeah. Okay.
Now, this particular bike would be welcome in my garage, if you ever happen to come through Memphis.
Yeah.
But this is the only Indian that will ever have an opportunity to park in my garage. Maybe. I'm just kidding, man.
No, you good.
You
We'll
can come
Squeeze
up
it
there.
in there. We'll squeeze
All
it in
right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go front to back. We're going to compare both bikes. We're just going to go through some of the additions that have been made,
There you
some
go.
of the revisions that have been made, as well as things that the bikes are good at or things the bikes are lacking. Starting with the front end of the bikes, the Indian Pursuit has since its inception with the Challenger, it has had the KYB inverted front forks for its entire time, as well as dual disc brakes with the Brembos. And then the CVOs have recently changed, right?
Yeah, they recently added with the new CVO models, they went with inverted forks. Harley's always had Brembo brakes, as far as I know, for the last several years, but this is the first time they've had it branded on there like that, so that's new.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I find that to be a little weird, right?
yeah.
I mean, because I could say they had any kind of brakes on there.
Well, I mean, technically, neither one of these companies builds everything on these bikes.
You're right.
So
for sure.
some things get branded, some things don't get branded.
Right.
There might be financial reasons that they did that or chose not to do that.
All right.
But for whatever reason, they decided to go with the Brembo branding on
Okay.
these particular brakes.
Maybe because people were, it was a talking point.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody cares. What difference does it make? As long as the bike stops, I could care less
Well,
what brand of
I
brakes
think
there
that's
are.
that part of the conversation where you start talking about the quality or the the special pieces of the
Right,
bike.
right.
You want it to be high end, and right now Brembo's high end.
Yep.
So anyway, and
But
these
is
are
it really?
What?
And I only say that because most companies have levels.
Right.
So how do we know we don't have Brembo's lowest level brake? But because it says Brembo, everybody goes, "Ooh, Brembo! It's got to be the best." I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know.
I doubt that Harley Davidson's ever made their own brakes. Just like I doubt Indians ever made brakes.
They haven't.
They go to a brake manufacturer, and the brake manufacturer probably has different levels.
Right.
You want to pay this much, we'll put our brand on it. Or maybe Harley may not have wanted
Yeah.
to share the spotlight with anybody.
Just like tires.
Yeah.
Alright. So, at least as far as this point goes, no points awarded because they both have the same setup. I take that back because the Pursuit has had the setup from the start, whereas the Road Glide just now got added.
You talking about the inverted forks?
The inverted forks, and they're both KYB forks.
I don't know. I have no idea.
They
Again,
are.
that's something I don't care about.
Yeah, they're KYB. So,
Yeah.
and then that kind of brings me. I know we're going front to back, but as we're talking about suspension, I think the front end when they changed it to the KYB,
Yeah.
this front end is softer than the previous version. The previous version of the Road Glide, right? Because the suspension overall, I think, is a little bit softer on this. Now, when I had the CVO going down the road, like doing a weave, you could feel the front end like dipping down, whereas the back end was really stiff, so it kind of felt like it was nosing around. So, I think they are on the right track. Harley Davidson, I think they're on the right track. I still think they have some tuning to do in order to get it dialed in. But I think as long as they're running the dual suspension on the rear, it's going to be tough. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I
I don't know enough about the advantage of having a single shock rear versus dual shock.
Yeah.
Is one better than the other? I don't know. I'll tell you what I like about the Indian is that you can adjust the preload on the screen. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've read online somewhere that the Indians had some reliability problems with that. Is it correct or not? I mean, I don't know.
It may have been like first.
But it's
year.
okay,
It
now,
may
as far
have
as
been
you know.
first year stuff.
Okay. Now, what I don't like, what I don't like about the Harley system is that it's a manual adjustment.
Right.
So there's on the right side, you set the preload for the primary riding condition. On the left side, there's a remote dial, so I can add more preload or reduce preload.
There's two settings for the rear?
There's four.
No,
So-
I'm talking about like things to configure.
No, there's four.
Really?
Yeah, there's a total of four. So you have, on the right side, you have the primary preload. On the left side, you have an additional preload for additional weight. If I'm going on a trip, got luggage or whatever, I can dial up a little bit more preload on the left. And then there's also a dampening adjustment on both sides. So there's technically four things you can adjust, but it's very manual. And what I don't like about it is that I don't think a lot of people are necessarily going to take the time to figure out how to adjust all those settings. Whereas on this bike, I weigh 250 pounds. I got 50 pounds of luggage, and blah blah blah,
right.
and I'm done.
For sure.
I like that. I think that's a sharp feature. That was something that I was hoping Harley was going to do with this new setup.
Me too.
Yeah, I was really.
Especially when I saw that screen, I was thinking,
Oh, that
my
they have
God, it's
to.
going to be a bunch of stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I guess in agreement, Indian Motorcycle gets the suspension point.
Oh, for the adjustments, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I would say I go a step farther than that. You know, because I had an opportunity to ride this bike today. The seat, all right. So for me, rider comfort, you have your suspension and you have your seat.
Yeah.
So between the two of those, that's what's going to determine what the rider's going to feel in terms of comfort. And this is a much softer seat, and obviously the suspension is what it is, and so it feels good just hopping on a bike. And this is not my bike, so to hop on someone else's bike that's not set up for me, and they go, oh man, this is nice. Right. So it had a very nice ride to it. My first ride with this, not the same. You know, it took me a while to start playing with the suspension, so I recently started playing with it. It's a lot better now that I understand how to adjust the suspension a little bit more. But again, that's my concern with the lack of technology that we put in the suspension. I do like the adjustments, but they just should have been automated. This is tight. Again, I don't know about the reliability part of it, because sometimes technology can go too far.
Right.
You know, sometimes manual adjustments are better, sometimes they're not. So is
I've
it better for
been-
suspension? I don't know.
I've been probably about 18,000 miles total between my Challenger and my Pursuit on this suspension, and it's great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've
Well,
had
good
no
stuff.
issues.
Does the Challenger have the same seat as that?
No, it was a different seat. It's the stock seat, rather, I guess.
Oh, this is an upgraded seat?
That's the upgraded seat for
Yeah, this is the Elite.
This is
Okay.
for the Pursuit Elite, and the Pursuit with the premium package gets that seat.
Okay.
The other one, but the other seat is just as comfortable,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Okay.
Well, your opinion's biased. You said that at the beginning. So
Right.
Yeah,
right.
we have to
So-
take it with a grain of
Well,
salt.
if you're
Your
comparing,
ass isn't biased. If it's comfortable, it's comfortable.
but if you're comparing this seat to like a Harley Davidson seat, the Indian motorcycle seats are softer. Just
Well, I think it depends on the seat. So that's why when you start out talking about, you know, you can compare this bike to the Challenger, right? So if you compare this bike to a Road Glide Limited, it's a different seat.
Right.
And the seat on a Road Glide Limited, the stock seat on a Road Glide Limited, is much more comfortable than this.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, for long distance riding, I would have put a seat off of Road Glide Limited on here,
Yeah.
just so that I have more comfort. You know, the seat on here, it looks good. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
good
the
looking
design, the stitching. You got the CVO embroidered in there. It's really nice. It's too firm for me. Some people like firm seats. I'm not one of those people. I like my seat soft like this. It's
It's
nice.
a woman's shoes. That's what that is. A woman buys her shoes. The way they look is number one.
Yeah.
Comfort is second. So that's what's going on with that seat. It's not comfortable as. But you're also talking about a limited.
Right.
So, like I said, limited motorcycles are. The whole setup's going to be. It's supposed to be for the ultimate touring motorcycle.
Right, right.
So,
All right. So after suspension, we've got this front fairing. All right. So the old fairing I did not like. The new fairing, I think it looks better. I think that's across the board that looks better than the old one. I think. I do like the eagle thing that they did with the LED light. The only other thing that kind of to me detracts from the bike is that the front end is so large. The front fairing is so large, and it's so wide. And I didn't realize the old one was the same size.
Yeah.
The old one was the
that-
exact same size. So that was kind of new. But it almost looks like it was built for a different frame because the bike is so short, and you have this huge fairing. And it depending on the angle you look at it at, it looks like it's like those pictures from the leaked images. You know, they had it down low, and it looked real out of shape. I think that detracts from the rest of the bike. So, again, I think they're on the right path, but they gotta figure out these shapes because I don't look good.
Yeah, no, I hear it.
but
I like the ideas of what they're
Right,
going
right.
for, but if you're looking at this versus what we have on the Pursuit, the Pursuit still looks good to me. I actually think that style is going to last for a while. I know they got like 2 more years with this body style, before it changes. But just looking at it though, I think that's going to stay for like years to come. Even after they're switched up, that's still going to look good. But
this is a talking point thing because
Yeah.
again, this is what you're accustomed to seeing. So you look at that, you're expecting this bike to be as big as this bike, longer wheelbase or whatever, and that's why it doesn't make sense to you that the fairing is that size. It's always been that size.
Right.
So, but I get it.
Yeah, the looks part to me, I mean, that's subjective.
That is
Yeah.
subjective.
I mean, you know, yeah, I don't. I'm a Harley guy, I like Harley, so I love the way it looks. I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
In fact, from looking at the initial release that they did in June, I think, looking at those photos compared to seeing it in person, I think it looks better in person.
Of course,
compared to
yeah.
the photos. When I saw it in person, I'm like, oh my God, this thing is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I think straight on, it looks good. I think because, like I said, you see the LED, it's got the bar, and you see the front fairing without seeing the rest of the bike.
How about the rear fairing?
The rear fairing?
He keeps saying front fairing, so it has to be a rear.
Yeah. I know, right?
I'm thinking about that.
Anyway, looking at the front of the bike,
Uh-huh.
like if you're looking at it head on, yes. As soon as you start turning angles and sides, then it's like, I don't know. It's it's like I was telling Rob, it's like somebody's that's not photogenic.
Yeah.
Like you think they look good in person,
Right,
but as soon as you take a picture, you're like, who's that?
Everything he's saying, that was my view of the older model Road Glide. It was like it was an angles thing, and from the front was ugly to me. This fairing, I actually like the way it looks from every angle, and that skirt helps that. So it's like when I look at this bike from the 3/4 side, it just looks good. This fairing looks good to me too. It looks good to me at every angle. So it's a little bit more going on, with it. The little details, the creases in here. They got some creases in there too at the bottom part. To me, it's tough. If I had to choose one, somebody sent me a message in the comment section, and they said that if you had to pick one of your bikes, that's all you could have, what would you pick? I couldn't answer them. I have
that's
no
an
clue.
easy one for me.
Of course it's easy. You got one bike.
No, I have two bikes.
Oh, Idle E.
I have two. It's going to be Idle E. I mean,
Yeah.
because that bike is just comfortable.
Yeah.
But, the short ride that we did today, half an hour, however long it was, had an opportunity to ride this bike. The bike was very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
The most impressive thing to me was just, again, the comfort, the seat, the suspension, just the way it felt. At one point, we're going down, I don't know what road we're on, but when we first went down, I hit a bump. I'm like, oh, so look at there. And so I started looking for bumps. And I hit them all. Because I just wanted to see what it felt like, and it really floated over the bumps. So for touring, I think in their current state, this bike is better set up for touring the way I like to ride long distance. I'm going to get this bike there, but it's not there yet because I just got it. Right. But just out the box, I think Indian did a phenomenal job with their bike. It's very good. Now there's some things I don't like.
Oh, for sure. I know we're about to get to that too. So.
Yeah.
But first,
I know what one of them is.
So the windshield, right? And I've explained this to a few different folks. So the windshield that comes on the windshield that comes on the Challenger is smaller.
It is?
Yeah, it's smaller. That's the touring style.
Okay.
So, but since we have this one here, for me, that windshield is too tall. Whether it's up or down, it doesn't matter.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Okay.
I got 32-inch inseam.
He's 6'2".
Yep, 6'2".
I'm 6'1", so that's why it's...
So for me, it
high.
takes all the air and throws it over my head. I get no buffeting, I get no wind whatsoever. So when we were going out of town, I had a full face helmet on. It's 100 degrees outside.
Oh.
Man, I'm like trying to find air wherever I can get it. You know what I mean? So for that part of it, for the Pursuit, I know it's here, but the windshield, I would rather have a short windshield that I couldn't move versus a tall windshield that just gets taller.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so this one doesn't give you the flexibility.
Right, so I had to change mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm changing mine too.
Yeah.
Clockworks.
So
A little bit lower because, again, if it goes lower, I can still raise it.
Right.
But if it's already here and that's the lowest, I'm never going to raise it higher than that unless it's raining like I told you.
So when you raise the windshield on here, does air come underneath the windshield? Because there's some kind of scissor mechanism under there, right? No, well, just lifting the windshield's got to be some kind of scissor mechanism.
No,
it's
a screw.
Okay. So air can't come underneath the windshield when you lift it?
As far as what? There's a vent.
It's not going to come under it.
There's a vent in the front.
There's a vent on the
So
front.
the windshield's not going to start flapping.
No, I'm not talking about flapping. I'm just talking about as the windshield goes up, is there an opportunity for air to now go underneath the windshield because I've lifted it?
You have two vents.
No.
That would
I'm
be
talking about the
counterproductive
frame.
for the windshield. The windshield is supposed to block wind.
Right.
So it's not going to let wind come
So
under
this vent that you have here,
Uh-huh.
it's the same thing. It's just there's an opening in the window.
Okay. But no, but my question is, if you take this windscreen up to its max height, is there a space between the fairing and the bottom of that windscreen when it's at max height?
Yes.
So
there's
then
a
air
small opening.
can get underneath it. Bugs, debris.
No, because the front end of the fairing has a flip up.
Yeah.
So
it does. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The air flows right over the top of that thing. Man.
Okay.
Like I've had it up, bugs just going through at night, no issues whatsoever.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I'd like the way it would look with it at max height. But my thing about the windscreen is like, I've never had an adjustable windscreen on a bike, so I don't know if I would value it. Right.
I think that if you put that windshield at full height, you're not going to give a crap what it looks like. Because if you do that, that means you need it. You're on the road, something crazy is happening, a bunch of debris is hitting you, you got on your half-shell helmet, you put that windshield up, you're not going to be like, you can't see what it looks like because you're on the bike. At that point, it's just for functionality. Right. But I talk about that all the time when somebody like you riding long distances, what the bike looks like becomes secondary.
Irrelevant. Got that right.
Yeah.
So in the cold though, in the cold, when you have this bad boy up, beautiful.
Now, one thing I noticed on my ride up here on this bike, so there's a lot of vents. So you have the vents on either side of the headlight. There's a vent on the top right here, just underneath the windshield, and then you could still get air around the around handlebars. So I got stuck behind some truck kicking up dust. Like, what the hell? So I got this enormous windshield on here, so I'm trying to duck behind it. I was getting hit harder in the face by dust because the dust is coming in through all of these openings. It's coming up this way, here. You couldn't get away from it.
Yeah. So on the Indian Pursuit or the Indian Challenger, these vents, there's little doors in there.
Harley took all those off. Yeah, we can't close these off. Now, I think there's things you'd be able to do in the aftermarket.
Is there a vent at the top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just right here.
Yeah.
You can close that one.
Yeah, but that's it.
And I always leave that one closed, but you get air coming everywhere else. And it's fine as long as there's no road debris hitting you in the face. That's why I was asking about the windscreen on here, because you'll have some of the other challenges. It has to be air coming up this way.
Right, but if you look down there to those holes right there, you can see the floor. You can close those on either side.
Oh, okay.
So it does reduce. There's still stuff that comes up. I mean,
Right.
it's going to come up. But it does reduce it quite a bit.
All right, I got to talk about my biggest gripe.
Okay.
He's killing them, man.
The engine,
The
yes.
heat.
We were getting to the engine.
Man,
Okay.
that engine is hot, dude. I actually think Indian owes me a new pair of jeans, and I'm going to send them a doctor's bill for the blisters.
All right. So now I have heard people talking about the heat coming from the engine
It's hot.
with the lowers. Me personally, I mean, it's an engine, right? So
It's not the lowers. It's,
now the fan, the radiator fan,
Yeah.
it does blow on your feet, and that
Oh,
does
it
get
does?
uncomfortable.
okay.
But other than that, I mean, I've been in 100-degree stop and go traffic, and it doesn't,
So on the right side of the bike, I don't know what you call this, the top part of the head, I guess.
the heads, yeah.
It's exposed, and so right over here,
Right,
your inner thigh touches this.
right. Okay.
They need a heat shield there.
So it's funny, right? Because everybody that I've talked to, they say it's their feet. You're the first person I've ever heard to say it was at the thighs.
Oh man,
And that's why he probably got thunder thighs, but not only that. And he's 6'2", so there's always going to be differences. Mine, same thing. It was the feet, and again, he's a Indian ambassador, so it's just like somebody trying to defend their kids. They're gonna always.
He has to say nice
Not
things
you,
about
They
it.
always
You know?
have nice things. At the end of the day, it's too hot.
Look, I'm telling you, like it's a hot engine, right? It's an engine,
No. Forget about the engine.
right?
There's something going on at the bottom that it'd be one thing if this was like 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
It's loads of people saying the same thing, so it's a problem.
Right.
It's a problem.
Okay, well, this is only for the bikes with the fairing. The Challenger does not have the lower fairings, so you don't get that feeling of the heat. Because in this here, you don't have anything blocking the engine. So whenever they come out with the special and it has those lowers, but you guys do the lowers a little
limited.
different.
They're limited.
Limited,
Yeah.
right?
Get it
You
right.
guys do it a little different. You guys kick it out of the side, right?
Well, that's
so
where.
assuming to keep the
That's different.
No,
this is a
that's-
liquid cooled engine, so I don't know if it's going to do that.
Well, all right. So there's a radiator here. So typically, this particular setup would just be air cooled. So it's now twin cooled or water cooled.
Right.
And the fan blows the heat down.
right.
So that's something that they did different. And I'll tell you that this bike feels cooler.
Right.
It feels much cooler than this one, but it even
sure.
feels cooler than my older Harley. And I think it's just because of the way they're redirecting the heat. They're redirecting the heat towards the ground.
Right.
That's my theory. Because I'm actually, I've done some testing between this bike and my older Road Glide to see which one runs hotter. From a temperature standpoint, this bike is actually hotter,
Yeah.
but it just treats the heat differently, or it feels differently, because I believe it's just directing the heat towards the ground. Whereas in the prior generation Road Glide, where you have the radiators and the fairing, it's blowing at your feet or towards your leg, and so it tends to come up towards the rider a little bit more, and I think that's what you experience here with that amount of heat. But
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on this exposed motor that's touching my leg.
Yeah, I've never had.
Well,
that
just touch it.
experience.
Just stick your
I
hand
got
down
you.
there.
Yeah, I know because the engine is shifted
Yeah.
to the side
Oh,
because
is
of
it?
the transmission. Yeah, it's
Oh.
shifted more to the right than the left because of the transmission.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I do think that fan is a problem because that's what's blowing the heat directly on your feet, right? So and the lowers trap a lot of that heat even with the doors open or closed. You're swirling all the temperatures around in there. So the Challenger, however, even when I had my Challenger, it was way cooler. So I can understand why you're way cooler here. But if this was the Challenger, it'd probably be about the same.
Well, I'll tell you, even my 18 Road Glide feels cooler than this.
Yeah, it doesn't matter even if you put lowers on this because it's how the fans are operated. So on my Limited, the fans shoot out the side. If my
Right.
feet are on the footboard, I don't feel any of it.
Right.
But if I put my feet on my highway peg,
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
right next to it.
Yep.
So
It's
I'm
cooking
just
your
saying,
leg.
if you take the fairings off of this bike and ride it around, it'll feel cooler.
Not that exposed motor over there.
I'm just telling you, that's what it is.
That-
you got this front fairing here. It
How about
does
the rear
trap.
fairing?
It does trap. Excuse me, the lowers. Anyway, yes, I agree. As far as feel goes, the Pursuit is warmer. However, this is more towards the Challenger. So if that's the case, to me they're the same.
Except for the fact that you have exposed motor.
It's,
Which burned the crap out of my leg.
Did it?
Indian, my address. But no,
All right, so-
all in all, I mean, the motorcycle's made to move. And when we're moving, I was fine.
yeah.
I was sitting still at a stoplight. And maybe it was when I was putting my leg down. Maybe that's when I was contacting that.
So I mean, obviously that doesn't matter because it's moving, but when you stop, it does have the rear cylinder deactivation. So,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I mean that one does too.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's some old tech.
I will tell you though, with this engine, whenever I was on it and I'd come off the throttle, you'd feel it start to shake, like the engine.
Really?
Like the old Harley Shake, basically.
Okay.
Harlem Shake. The old Harley Shake. That's what I felt.
Okay.
And I thought maybe the rear cylinder deactivation was happening at that time, and because the engine will shudder a little bit. But I don't know. It just felt. To me, the engine just feel like you're on a Harley when you're on those.
well, that's the point.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess. And then the VVT, you're going to get increased gas mileage.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. So
Gas mileage is extraordinary.
yeah.
I mean,
I think this is like
I
35,
haven't done any
40.
long distance riding on this. Riding down here from Memphis, I was probably getting 200 and probably if I'd run it to E, I think I could have gone about 230, maybe 240 miles.
oh nice.
Now, that may not be impressive because I've seen people do that with older bikes.
Yeah.
You know, but they're going 70 miles an hour.
Right.
I don't go 70 miles an hour. I was moving. I was moving.
Yeah.
I stopped the gas. I'm like, oh my God, is this thing ever going to need gas? It's. I don't understand BBT technology that much, but it did something because the fuel economy on this bike is extraordinary.
It's.
I mean, compared to my prior bikes.
It's the valves.
Variable
So
valve,
you
yep.
have duration, lift, and there's another parameter that changes, and that's essentially you're trying to keep the engine in the power band is what it's trying to do. Or when you're just cruising, it's decreasing the size of the cylinder to increase fuel economy. So instead of it doing an entire stroke, it'll come like a little bit up.
Okay.
And pump that way.
Okay.
For compressing. That's a whole bunch of technical stuff that I'm not necessarily qualified on. I did a little bit of reading.
Well, all right, so let's talk about another big difference between the two.
All right.
The infotainment screen. So you've got both bikes. What do you think?
So clearly, I think you feel like you're losing, so you're going to go right to something you know you're going to win.
I'm not employed by Harley.
Which is
I'm going to be unbiased.
Well, you said you're a Harley guy, right?
Oh, I am. I am.
So whether you admit it or not, you're going to feel a certain sort of way. It's not even worth talking about. There's no comparison. It's a beautiful
Really?
screen. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a beautiful screen. Oh, I'm talking about on the CVO.
Right.
It's the biggest screen in the industry right now. And my eyes love it. I love looking at technology. This one, the screen looks okay, but if I look up and see those analog gauges, and then those other two liquid crystal Casio calculator displays, it dates the bike so much. So again, I hope when they update that, they get rid of, first of all, just get rid of all of it. Just make it all digital.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'll tell you that this screen is better than I thought it was. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I test rode in Indy about a couple, 2-3 years ago down in Daytona. And I walked away from that thinking, I'm like, man, I like all of the information there, but I didn't feel like the screen was very sharp. So I think I had this bad perception of what I thought it was, and I got to see it again today. I'm like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was. The screen on the new Harley is extraordinary. However, I think they could have made better use of the space. This is what fair and balanced looks like, sir.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, I agree. I think the infotainment for the new Harleys is fantastic.
Yeah,
that is, that's one of the shining things about the bike. But
I think that I don't know. I would have liked to have seen better use of the space, in particular when you're using Apple CarPlay, because when I have Apple CarPlay up here, it's not going to be that much bigger than what you have on your bike.
Right.
It's because of how they chose to use the space on the screen.
Right.
On which screen?
They're all the same. All it does is shift it. So
I think that's an Apple CarPlay thing, though. Because even in my GMC, the Apple CarPlay is shifted to the
That's
side.
because that's a Chevy. I mean, if you rode a Ford,
Even in a Ford, it's the same thing.
no, sir, it is not. No,
It's not the same in my car.
Ford
My car it's a big screen.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think that I just felt like with this new screen that I would have done it a little bit differently. But again, it could have been an Apple thing. I don't know. I did notice that on the Indian today, it had the same warning message that you get with Harley, that you got to have a external microphone connected in order to get Apple CarPlay, which I think is stupid.
That's an Apple thing.
That's an Apple thing. That's an Apple thing. But I would say that I think the screen is good on the Indian.
It is.
I don't think it leaves anything to be desired. It's, this is a very modern looking screen. I think it looks very sharp. I think they could have done more with it. I think because it's digital, they can do more. It remains to be seen what kind of updates and upgrades they'll do in the future. Because it being all digital, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. I think they need to consolidate their functions, because there are so many buttons on the controls. There's so many, like, to get to a mode or an option. There's so many things you have to go through
On where?
So many
Here?
buttons to click on the
On there?
CVOs.
Oh.
No, it's a
I
mode
thought
button.
they did
No,
that.
I'm just not a mode, but say I wanted to change a parameter on the dash. Like you should be able to, it should be quicker than what it is to get to. There's so many levels and steps and screens that you have to go through to change X, Y, and Z on the screen.
Oh, okay.
And to me, like when I look at the controls are just that's a lot. That is a lot.
What
Those controls.
What controls?
All the buttons.
Well,
all
those-
here.
Oh,
Those are so simple.
they're beautiful
I,
inside.
and they may
It's-
be, but
yeah,
just as a person on the outside looking in,
Right.
when I look at it, it's like Greek. I'm like,
Yeah,
good
I
God.
when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be really intimidating. It's not bad. It's actually very, very simple. That's one of the things I think Harley knocked it out of the park, with the whole menu layout and
But you're also a Harley guy.
Well, I'm a Harley guy, but I kind of think of myself as a tech person too. And after using it, that's when I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's very logically laid out. It's
Yes.
pretty straightforward.
Absolutely.
It's not complicated at all. It looks intimidating, but it's not.
And
It's
again,
really, really easy.
that points to the same thing I was talking to you about before, which is, being accustomed to, I was saying mediocrity, but because if you buy a high-end car, I remember when I first bought my car, I was intimidated by the infotainment screen because it looks like it's so much.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And because you're accustomed to this, that's going to be just like coming from because this, in my opinion, was better than the old infotainment system
Absolutely.
on Harley Davidson.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So when I looked at that, I was like, again, I'm unfamiliar, even though I had it. I'm like, what the, you can move widgets around. So, it's nice and it looks good. But, like he was saying, the controls on this, the buttons feel great.
Yeah.
The backlighting is beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. Again, CVO's always had backlighted controls, but now that's been improved. It's bright.
Yeah.
And now the buttons are intelligently laid out.
Very,
Intelligently laid out. Whereas on this motorcycle, there's still certain things. Like, again, I don't have large hands, but if I am manipulating the clutch, and if at the same time I'm doing that, I want to hit the signal light or the music, I'd actually have to let I have to let off the clutch a little bit to do it. It's too far away.
Yeah.
It's too far away.
I was struggling with that today, just the turn signal.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably biased with the turn signal because Harleys are on either side, but it doesn't really matter. I can probably adapt. But what's difficult about this is if you're in the friction zone making a turn, because I'm following you today, we're making a turn. I'm like, I need to put my signal. I'm like, I can't reach the damn thing. I can't reach it. Now, if it's a right turn, I can push. But when we're turning to the left, you got to go around there, and my thumb ain't
you're
long
not
enough.
you're not gonna put your signal on in a turn.
Of course.
Yeah, you would do it. Well, you might.
Do it before.
You might
Not
do it with a
always.
lane change.
Well, anyway, those
Is
controls.
there any unbiased coming from you, sir?
Hold on. So these controls are backlit as well.
That's irrelevant.
Barely.
You guys have
Ergonomically, they suck.
You guys have metal housings where we have plastic. So I think
I
as
didn't
far as
even notice.
a qualitative standpoint,
Yeah.
that seems like it would be a better option. Than
No, it doesn't seem like it is.
I just think they need to redesign that turn signal switch. They need to do
it's
something
too
different
far
with
away.
that.
If they just put
it's
it closer-
Ergonomics, it's terrible.
Man, I just
Yeah. It's,
And the fact that as soon as I said he went like this, I mean, listen, it's, again, I'm accustomed to the
Right.
both sides as well, but I had an Indian before. So, again, you can get used to anything.
right. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not, like a lot of people were saying with the new CVO, when we were sitting down at the thing, they were saying they couldn't reach the music comfortably because of actually, no, it's on the right side now. They moved it up to the right side of the music. But as far as signal light, something you're going to be using all the time, it can't get any better than that. And not only that, the touch of the controls,
it's premium,
everything
yeah.
has just been improved so much,
Yep.
so much. But if we're going to start talking about this area, how you feel about the throttle?
I didn't notice it. I didn't notice anything different. I mean, I think it's fine. On here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see any problem. I mean, it's throttle response is phenomenal because the motor's strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of power. The first time I twisted the throttle, I'm like, God damn, I'm glad I was holding on. Wow! Oh, crap.
Yeah.
So,
I was feeling like a delay at first.
oh, really? Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
but especially if you're a throttle blipper.
Yeah.
If you blip the throttle, you'll get the first one, After a little delay,
okay.
the second one you don't get nothing.
Oh,
And
okay.
Vanessa was telling me it's doing something to protect the motorcycle, it shuts something off or something.
Yeah.
I know some people who need that on their bike.
Doing that is, that's just wasting.
But again, you can get used to anything. So once I know that's the case,
Right.
Especially if I'm getting ready to do a turn, I think it's in sport mode.
Yeah, it is.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. If I'm getting ready to do a turn, I just make sure I kind of load it up before I don't wait till the last minute and go like this, and it might not give it to me exactly when I need it. So,
because if you're in the throttle, like if it's you got it up a little bit and then you do like that, it's gonna go.
Yeah.
It's gonna bounce.
Oh, is that a sport mode thing, you think?
No, it's just the way it is.
But the sport mode is supposed to be more responsive, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, to a point.
Do you notice a difference? I mean, is it a noticeable difference between? Is there?
Very much so.
Okay.
Especially rain mode. You can just twist that thing.
oh, you mean sport mode? Is there a difference?
Yeah.
Between sport.
Is there a
and-
noticeable difference?
Yeah.
Is there?
Oh yeah.
Is there in this?
I don't think so. I mean, I've never had a bike with a sport mode before, so I don't know what I'm supposed to feel when I put it in sport
I felt the
mode.
difference in that.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So-
I mean, this bike is so much more powerful than my other bike. So even in the standard mode, it
gotcha.
smokes my old bike, and so I'm like, this is not sport mode.
Right.
Like,
And,
oh my God.
When I was on this,
Yeah.
I didn't get into it. But to me, it didn't feel any different than what I'm used to.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And if you're going from the old Road Glide to this one, for sure.
Yeah, it's a
you're
huge
like,
difference.
oh my God.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with this. If you're going from a Chieftain to say this, you're gonna be like, man, that's crazy.
They have different.
So I
motors.
think it's just all about perspective.
Right. Right.
Because this is 120 horsepower. This is 115 horsepower. However, you guys have about 11 more pounds of torque than this bike. So
There's a weight difference between the two.
there's
Right?
also a weight difference.
huge
This
weight
bike
difference.
is, I don't know how much heavier than this one.
No, this bike's heavier, right?
Negative. Oh, well.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I say, we're gonna do a small wager here,
hold on.
sir.
No, if you're talking about the Challenger, though, because that's what this is.
Okay.
The Challenger is still lighter than this.
Is it? Okay.
Since 2020. This is still like, what is it, 800, almost 900 pounds?
I don't know. You guys should have did your research.
I don't
before.
know.
Hey, I will have it on the screen for you
There you go.
right here.
And I will go ahead and put Finesse's apology because he's wrong right here
About what?
about the weight.
Oh, yeah? Because I've already researched it. I already know. So,
I'm confused. He said, "Oh yeah," and y'all just shook hands. What is that shake? What is that handshake?
I was gonna
mean?
bet.
Well, he's claiming that this
Is
bike
there a
is.
bet going on here? Is that what the handshake is about?
Yeah.
Or are you just being gentlemen?
Well, if he's already done the research, then no, there is no bet.
Is there a way of getting more air on your body with this fairing?
As far as, like,
More air hitting you. If it's hot and you want more air to hit you, is there a way to
there's
do
the vents in the front end there. You got the two vents, and then you get a lower windshield.
Can you direct that to, the angle?
No, there's no direction now.
Okay, and that's what that has.
Right?
With those things on the side.
But this is, that fairing is going to be smaller anyway. So it's not.
What's this button right here?
That is to cycle through in the menu.
Okay.
So it has the touch screen, but you don't have to touch it. You can use this,
Gotcha.
and the right side is to accept.
Gotcha.
Do you pull those in to give you air?
I've experimented with it. Oh, I prefer it like this on a long distance ride because it directs
Yeah.
the air around my knees.
Exactly.
If you do it like this, it's gonna push it on your inner thighs and kind of push your legs apart. So I keep all
Not
that.
if you slow down.
I don't slow down.
Because
No.
when I did that out in Milwaukee, it would actually
Yeah, it
direct
pushes
the
the
air
air
right
right-
into my
yeah.
chest. It was nice,
But you get so much air coming at you anyway, which is
especially with that
good
low
if you
windshield.
want it.
Man, that is.
But
that
if you
is
don't want it,
crazy.
which I don't always, well, especially if there's a bunch of dirt or sand in the road, it's going to get thrown up at you. It's coming at you from every direction, and you're like, God dang, I can't see. So I wish that I could close the vent. So I'm sure the aftermarket's going to come up with something to block those vents a
All
little
right,
bit.
so floorboards,
You mean footboards?
footboards, floorboards, however you say them.
They suck.
Negative. I don't like short. I got big feet, man. I got 12 size
I
12
got 12.
shoe,
I'm a 12 as well.
and I cannot get comfortable on these, especially with the heel shifter. The heel shifter is taking up that real estate as well. It's like my foot is stuck between the two, And that is
Oh,
not
yeah, I don't
comfortable
like
at
heel
all.
shift.
Yeah.
I took the heel shifter off here. It doesn't have
So
heel shifter.
I prefer the longer footboards.
Well, it's not the length of the board. It's the fact that there is no isolator in this board. So all of the vibration from the motor comes straight through to
There's
your
isolator.
feet. No, there's not.
Yeah.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
I can show you one with an isolator. And then, do we need another bet here?
I mean,
Kahuna.
it'd be better if you put your foot on it and move the board around.
No, bro. Okay, the size of it is probably good.
Yeah.
Okay, I did notice that it's bigger.
I mean, the engine doesn't
but
vibrate that much
the
either.
oh, the hell it don't.
Well,
you
now that
feel
now that he's got the exhaust, it's a little different.
the exhaust doesn't cause the bike to vibrate.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. That's from your motor.
Okay.
All I'm
If
telling
you
you is
had it
that
in stock form, you wouldn't say that.
I've ridden them before.
Okay. Carry on.
Okay, but see, the comparison is the Kahuna collection from Harley that has a
what's on-
rubber
that- is that
isolate.
what
This
this
is
is?
not. That's not what this
What
is.
is this?
I don't know.
Some
This
other
is the
collection they put on there.
Dominion.
Okay,
or
so that's what we're
something.
talking about.
So
We're
this
not talking
doesn't
about
have-
aftermarket. We're talking about stock.
That's not
Okay, but
aftermarket.
I just said that
I know.
these suck.
Kahuna is not
I know.
aftermarket.
No, I just said that these suck.
But
That's
this
all.
has no isolation.
I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about this one.
Okay, all right.
Those suck.
But you said that it has no isolation.
It doesn't.
Well, neither does this.
Okay, but I'm talking about these.
Okay,
They
so
suck.
they're the same.
This one sucks less because I think this engine is smoother. It's a little bit smoother.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Really? You think that one's smooth?
I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I do.
That
It's
is crazy.
smooth. Now, it's not. I'm not saying this is bad.
No, I
But
got you.
I'm just saying that you feel the vibration on your foot. So on a long distance ride, that's when it's going to make a difference. A short ride, scooting around the city, who cares? But on a long distance ride, I would rather have, and by an isolator, so if you look at it, if you look at this other Violet, that one has the Kahuna collection. You take the floorboard and just twist it a little bit. You'll see the difference.
Yeah.
So that isolator makes a difference. That Indian might have something like that. I don't know. It's just not on this particular bike.
They don't.
And it makes a difference. It makes a difference on a long distance ride.
All right, when we get done, I'm going to put my foot on there and twist
All
it
right.
around. But anyways.
And then you can
so I've been
apologize
on,
again.
I've been on 6 hours. Nothing.
That's it. That's cute.
So it begins.
I'm just saying.
6 whole hours?
6 whole hours.
At
man.
once?
At once.
But
So-
again, the difference is you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So that's not even something that, it's just like you saying, if I get off my bike and get on this, I'm not going to see a big difference because
Yeah.
I'm accustomed to this. So if you're accustomed to no isolator,
Yeah.
and he
Right.
is,
Right.
he's going to feel it right away. Like, oh my God, I feel
You're
this.
talking about like that tingling feeling from the vibration, right?
Ride his bike and just pay attention to the vibration that you feel on the floorboard.
Or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof. You don't feel squat. You feel nothing.
Because it's floating.
Because it's floating. It's, because any movement doesn't translate through to your foot. So the floorboard could be down here doing this thing.
But it just sounds
All
to
over
me
the
like we're
place.
talking about an aftermarket piece.
No, that's
No,
stock.
that's stock
Is it?
for a CVO.
That's stock for CVO.
Limited.
Yeah.
Not on
Now,
this one.
not on this one.
Not on
Now,
that.
but that's
So we're
that
talking
was
about a whole nother bike.
well.
We're talking about these two.
Okay, well, we can talk about this one. This one is smoother. It just is. I mean, I've criticized this bike today, so
I will
and
not-
I will criticize it where it's due.
I'm not going to
not
say
here
that-
though.
I'm not going to say the engine is bad, but I'm not going to say it doesn't feel smoother to me.
Okay, smooth might be the wrong word, but there's less vibration that's going to come through on your floorboard.
And again, in this case, his opinion is going to reign supreme. You rode it around some subdivisions in a quick ride.
Right.
He rode it for hours and hours and hours. So, but he also didn't ride this long.
There you go.
So,
But they're not bad. Oh, well, I did say that they suck, but I just like a different type of floorboard,
Okay.
which I would also like a different type of floorboard here,
Right.
but I get less vibration on this one.
All right.
how you feel about the grips?
They're fine.
We've held them both.
Didn't notice a difference.
Yeah, these
I
suck.
like the
Do they?
I like the
Yeah, they
thicker.
suck.
I like the thicker.
They're too
grips.
narrow, and they're too basic. Like, this is an elite model, and that was my point. If you buy a CVO, the grips are always different than
Right,
the other
right.
bikes. This is the same crap on every trim level of the Pursuit. So they cheaped out on this. It just feels, it just feels cheap, and it's definitely not as comfortable.
Yeah,
as
those
those.
are thinner than the Harley Davidson ones. I do like the thicker that Harley puts on those, but to me the feel it's no different. They're heated, so it's like
Are they? Okay. Yeah, I didn't notice a difference with the grips. They felt fine. I was playing with the throttle while we were riding just to see if I noticed any differences. I didn't.
But if I had a choice between a thicker one or the thin one, I would take the thicker.
That's what
Yeah.
she said. I just sit here waiting. I was like this.
Wait, somebody coming.
As soon as I started talking,
He never disappoints, man. He never disappoints.
Now, my thing with something with the grips, if I have to think about the grips, then
right.
somebody screwed up.
You're nitpicking,
Yeah. No, it's not a nitpicking thing, but I mean, if I have to think about it,
Yeah.
that means they screwed them up somehow.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Grips are pretty basic because once you have your hands on it, they're covered anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, since you brought it up from a style standpoint, yeah, it's not stylish from what I would expect to see on a top level bike,
Yeah.
and that's including this housing here. I don't care that it's made of plastic, but it's flat compared to all the gloss that's on here. So I would have expected something a little bit different there
Yeah,
too.
they do a mix of flat because all your controls are flat. So it's not shining in your face.
I don't like this either. If you look at the mirrors on that, it's just they did a good job with those mirrors. I'm not crazy about the collection though. In other words, the footboards.
Yeah,
I don't really like the footboards because they're too short. And again, if you look at Violet with a heel toe shifter, Kahuna collection footboards are longer, and the heel to toe shifter arms are longer.
Yeah.
So you don't really have an issue. So I'm not too crazy about that too. Plus, the passenger footboard. I mean the passenger foot peg.
Yeah.
It's like unfinished. I don't understand why they didn't just go all the way out. Well, again, this is a limited model, so it's going to be a footboard for the passenger, not a peg.
Right.
Notice the stickers are still on it because it might not be staying. Really not.
He named it. It's gonna be here. So we've also got Indian Motorcycle also has.
No, you had it right.
Indian Motorcycle also has the locking fuel cap. So, not to say that this is just gonna flip open or snag on something and flip open, but to have it to know that it's secure and you just can't come up there and flip it open, I think is great.
Yeah.
I agree.
Does that cap flip backwards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since 2020.
It's always been like that?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of feel like it should flip.
There's got to be a reason why they don't do that because
Yeah.
none of them do it.
Yeah, because this one's the same way.
So
and
it's
because I'm actually thinking, I wonder if I can take it apart and just spin it around so I can flip back that way. But I don't know if there's a reason that they did it. There might be a reason.
I'm sure there is.
Because if them both being the same way, I don't get it. Because when I'm refueling this one, you flip it back, then you got to have the handlebars in a certain place so that you're not in the way, or so that nothing's blocking you from, putting a nozzle on.
Huh?
With it flipping back. So if it flips back this way, so now I've got less space for the nozzle to come in here. But if it flips this way, then I got more space.
I've never noticed any space issues.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably not a big deal. That's nitpicking.
Yeah, it's more. It would be more convenient to fuel it if it went this way. Yes, because
Yeah.
even today at the gas station, I'm like,
Yeah, right,
right.
right.
But
That's what I
again,
noticed.
that's how they all are.
They all like that, yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then we already talked about the seat. So this.
How about the gas tank?
Oh, God.
So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they both have the same capacity, albeit they're shaped a bit different.
A bit.
A bit.
I mean, it's a
These are
cylindrical-
shaped differently, much in the same way that Lizzo and Holly Berry are shaped differently.
A bit.
So they have different shapes.
Fat!
So
It's
I'm
beautiful.
sorry.
this tank here
It's what?
is
I
longer.
think it's beautiful.
I think
it's
it's
just too
fat.
long.
It's longer than what the
It's
have on
wide.
the Harley Davidson. However, I enjoy the seating position because the back end where your legs are at, the pinch is a lot smaller than what you get on a Harley Davidson, right? So your legs are not as far apart, which makes it, at least for
can see
me,
that.
in my opinion, it makes it more comfortable when you sit.
I don't know if that's still true with this new redesigned tank,
Oh, it's wider.
but how much?
I don't know. It feels wider.
And at the end of the day, the length of this kind of, I don't know, it kind of it kind of takes away from that point too. The handlebars could take care of that too. Again, this is a preloader issue because if you're just rolling down the highway, it's fine. It's when you want to start making turns, even trying to put your balls on the tank, it's like, no, I can't do it. But again, I love the way it looks.
Yeah.
I just, and again, when Q got on the bike, he said, "This thing is massive." And I just couldn't stop looking at it. He was just like, "What? How many?" He thought it was a 15-gallon tank.
Fueling it up, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God.
It was empty, man. It was empty.
Oh, man, that's got, what was it, 8 gallon? 10, 12?
It was still
6 what?
It's the same.
600? That can't be a 6-gallon
Beautiful
tank.
tank.
But I mean, the length, looks whatever. But I prefer the ergonomics of it versus what you get on a Harley Davidson.
I got bad hips, so you know how I feel about having my legs.
Yeah.
I think I'm joking around. I think it looks okay. It looks big. It looks
Yes.
huge.
Yes.
But it fits the scale of this motorcycle. Like when you were
Yes.
sitting next to me,
Yeah.
I remember I said to you, you look good on that bike. When you're just sitting still on the bike, it all fits together well. Like it has a very nice profile. And if this tank was smaller, it wouldn't look as good in my opinion.
Right.
Right. So it doesn't look out of place with the scale of the bike, the longer wheelbase, the ugly Tourpack. You know,
We ain't got back there.
Oh, we didn't get back there yet. Okay.
We haven't got the trash in the tour back
Yeah.
yet.
And when I was, so usually my test for the comfort is backing the bike up. So when you're backing up the Harley Davidson, it being so wide, it's a bit more difficult. Like I found myself like kind of
It's 5'9", so we don't have that issue.
right.
Touche.
But on
It's
this
like
bike,
I've never had a problem.
but again on this bike, it's just easier.
Yeah.
You're not so far apart. You know, I got more.
Well, first of all, this bike's easier to back up. Forget about the tank. I was talking to you about this. If I put this bike in neutral, and then I put it in first gear and squeeze the clutch to back it up, it doesn't change the difficulty of backing it up.
Right.
Whereas, for some reason with Harley Davidson, if it's in gear,
Especially
oh
if the
my
bike
God.
is off. If it's off, forget about
It's
it.
like ridiculous. You have to
Yeah.
put it in neutral to push it. So
Now, when it's running, it's easier.
easier, but still not
Yeah.
as easy as this.
Okay.
This thing is like, I don't know.
Now, another
So
gripe
you
about
messed
the
up. You
Indian.
forgot about your point system. It's
Oh,
it's
sure
over now.
did.
Oh,
I knew that was going to happen.
starting the bike.
Yeah.
Which one sounds better starting?
Oh, sounds better. Clearly.
Which one? This doesn't matter. What
Okay,
gear.
I'm going to give you my impersonation.
See, I can already see what's going on here. If you ask him a question that he knows,
You know,
in the sap, this
No.
is
Okay.
I'm going to give you my impersonation of an Indian starting up.
All right. Right. So, well, the Harley sound like
I'm
they're
like,
like
oh
sucking.
my God, what's wrong with this bike?
The Harley sound like they're sucking it.
This sounds like there's a dead cat in there getting murdered.
I got to tell you, that sound is appealing.
It's
Now, a
'cause
stock
you're
Harley
used to
doesn't
it.
come like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
used to
yeah.
it.
Yeah, when you change the pipes, aftermarket pipes sound like that. 'Cause
Right.
more air is, and when I hear that, I love that.
Oh, yeah, that's dope.
I mean, if you're used to hearing that, I can see it being appealing.
No,
but
it's not a used
in
to.
my
The
Harley
Harley
opinion,
sounds better.
No, but in
starting
my
up.
opinion, it doesn't even matter. I could care less.
Now, I'll tell you this. Once it's running, it sounds like a muscle car, dude.
No. But that's only because of the tab performance.
Yeah, that's aftermarket
Touche.
exhaust.
The
That's
other one-
touche, because I heard another Indian that had tabs on it and fired up. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, especially if it's a Roadmaster.
Yeah.
This
Wow,
one,
that thing sounds
stock
good.
pipes, meet George Jetson.
So kind of like this one.
Yeah. So I don't like.
No,
the,
that's the sewing
You
machine.
think that sounds
Yeah,
better? Oh, sewing machine. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't like the sewing machine sound. I don't like the stock sound of the Indian motorcycle either.
It's not bad though.
I like this less
I think-
though.
yeah.
I don't like that. To me, it's like you hear the age of the bike, and that's what gets me, right, because they did all these updates, but the bike still feels and sounds like 1980.
Like a Harley?
1980.
It's supposed to sound like a
Like a
Harley.
Harley.
That was the point.
It sounds like
Harley's
1980.
sound is so legendary. They tried to copyright the sound, and it's also been copied and duplicated by other companies. The Harley sound is extraordinary.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, but everybody's not gonna like it. But I like the sound of this bike because I'm into muscle cars.
Yeah.
So the first time I heard an Indian fire up, I'm like, well, after I got past the once it got past that and started running, I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
But again, you're talking about this bike with an aftermarket,
correct.
so
It sounds good when it's running.
It does.
Yeah.
That,
It does.
it's
I
like,
ju- I
man.
just- it's
But you know what else I noticed? So even with the tabs on here, and when you're digging into it again, it sounds like a muscle car. But once you roll off the throttle and it's kind of idling, it quiets down a lot. And I like that. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
it's got
good.
sometimes when you go off the throttle, you get that pop, pop.
Oh, yeah. yeah.
I like that too. I definitely like that. It's, listen, shout out to Tab Performance. Again, I can't wait to put the Tab Performance on that bike to see how
I
it
can't
sounds.
wait for you to put tab performance on this bike, too. I agree with you. I-
and kind of going back to the sound system,
The sound system?
or the.
Are we talking about that?
I'm sorry.
you don't want to talk about that.
You don't
Going
wanna
back
talk
to
about
the
that.
audio visual, right? The electronics. I don't, man. I didn't think those Saddlebag speakers would sound as good as they do.
They don't sound good.
To me, they sound good.
See, again, because he doesn't have any. So
No,
if you add
right.
them, it's extra sound.
So what I have the lower front fairing speakers
Oh, yeah?
and the
Okay.
Tourpack speakers. I don't have these Saddlebag speakers, and I thought that I would get more sound from the front,
You should.
but instead with the speakers under my ears, to me that just sounded way better. And the Challenger doesn't have the Tourpack, so it would only have the 4 speakers instead of the 6. But I mean,
This is very difficult. It's sitting right here, but we got to pretend it's a Challenger. So we're talking about stuff that,
well,
it's not apples to apples.
Yeah.
Well, no, because you added the Tourpack to it. It doesn't have speakers in the Tourpack or whatever.
yeah.
I will say that this has 6 speakers. Now, again, you're comparing this. This is always going to be dependent on what you're accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
If we were talking about Ida Lee before you did anything, this is better. But once you got your thing upgraded, and I say that because what did you have? You had the stock.
Yeah, 4 speakers, Tourpack, and the fairing
Yeah,
speakers.
it's not even a question. This is better because at least with this, I can hear it even at high speeds.
Well, you're comparing it to Violet, which you can't hear at low speeds.
I'm not just comparing it to Violet. I'm comparing it to Valiant, which has the 6 speakers as well. Valiant sounds better than this, only because it has more bass.
Okay.
This has more bass than this.
Yeah. It does.
And that's only 4 speakers, which is the same as the Challenger.
Right.
So I'm assuming the Challenger has the same system. So
Correct.
at the end of the day, when it comes to the stereo system, you're not going to get a bunch of bass from a stock
At
system
all.
anyway.
Right.
Nor are you going to hear a lot of bass. You're going 90
the
miles
road.
an hour.
Right.
You get for this system now.
And you
I'm going to have to
make
put out a
modifications.
correction.
Yeah.
In a prior video I made, I
Yeah.
said this system's too quiet. I was wrong. I had a setting wrong. This thing is a monster. The sound system in here is phenomenal.
It is.
And I think it's cutting edge. I think Harley Davidson did some really cool things with it because one of the things I
Rocker
learned,
Fosgate
it's
did
not even
some
Rocker
things.
Fosgate. I don't care what speaker brand it is. I care less about Rocker Fosgate. But so it has a lot of bass at low volume. And as you crank the volume up, the bass continues to go up. And at some point it stops and you can continue to
Right.
raise the volume of the stereo.
Right.
So what that does, that keeps you from blowing your speakers out. Because in the prior generations, there were a lot of people blowing out the speakers and their CVOs. And this one, I don't think that's going to happen because of what they did. That's pretty. That's real smart what they did. It's very impressive.
And I've seen these.
And
at
this
Max.
thing sounds amazing, even in its current setup. I'm going to put the 6x9s in here, and supposedly that's even better.
Yeah.
But like it is now, this thing thumps.
Yeah.
It thumps.
So those at max setting, they're not gonna blow the speakers out either.
Yeah.
Of course they're not. There's no bass.
Yeah.
No, there's no bass.
But I can hear it. I can hear the lyrics.
You can hear it well, yeah.
And that's, to me, that's what's important. Stock.